Hi everyone, so what we're going to do is we are going to do a long version of a textured bob. Now what we're going to do is you've probably seen them quite a bit. They're slightly A-line, so it's going to be a little bit shorter at the back, probably just above shoulder length on a real model, and then it's going to dip forward slightly, but only very slightly, maintaining these corners through the front with a couple of layers just to soften through the front. Then we're going to go into the internal shape and we're going to break that up quite a lot with some heavy layering, more so through the back here where it's going to be thick. And on my real model that I'm doing in the real world at the same sort of tomorrow, that will then create lots of volume through there for when we want at the end. But for those that are just catching up with it online, you know, lots of layers, probably invert the shape. So it's slightly longer layers through the front, shorter through the back, creating more volume, and then can personalise this a little bit after the blow dry. This doll's head has quite a heavy fringe in there. Doesn't really need anything else off it, but I'll show you how to sort of texture into that at the end as well. Okay, so first section is going to be a classic profile section from the crown through to the nape, and then we're going to do a couple of diagonal forwards and then bring it all down on the centre parting and get that shape in with a shorter A-line down to the front. We're then going to come into the internal shape, as I said, and then we'll do the layering, but we'll get the bob shape in first. So, very easy wearable style. Doesn't take too long to cut, but you can put as much as you want into it in terms of layers, technical ability, or you can keep it quite simple and just sort of soften it at the end. We're going to make it a little bit more technical today. By technical, I mean we're going to work at the layers a little bit more, really concentrate on them. Okay, so I'm a big fan of very clean sections in my haircuts, so bring them up there. So as I said, profile section into some diagonal forward sections, also call out a little sort of a triangle through there. Make sure they're even. Apologies if my head gets in the way. I'm just going to stand back a little nose at that. So as I said, we're going to bring that up to about shoulder length. So if you think of this as the model's neck, we're going to go to about here. Okay. And what we're going to do is I like to cut through the comb, cut through the fingers if you're more comfortable, but I like to cut through my comb. So we're going to keep that straight first. Put that length, come through, elbow straight. For balance, and the same for the other side, and you follow that guide through. So there's a guide, check for balance, all good, that's our first section done. Okay, second section. A little bit higher, still slightly dipping down. This section's nice and clean. Just on the other side. Okay, so what I've done with this doll's head is I've wet it down. Shampoo, conditioner, kind of through. Now, same on the client as well. What you tend to find is, as you go along with a haircut, water does dry out pretty quickly. Products take a little bit longer, so there's a couple of reasons why we would use products as well. So I'm going to use a little bit of spray mousse. Give that a little bit. Don't need a lot. You just let that soak in a little bit. Can use that. Now, it takes a little bit longer to dry out product. It also smells nice. Client inquires about it, you know, you're already onto that sort of sales ladder at that stage once they smell it, and it also will dry in and give you a nice blow dry at the end. So let's work that through. Same thing, got my gown here. Wear that, there we go. Work that through, everything's being pulled back at the moment. And follow that through to the other side, like so. Check for balance. Have a visual check. All's good. Okay. Just check that from a distance. Let's come back away from it. Yep, looks good to me. So, next section. I'll pop this to the side now so you can see it a bit clearly. So, what we're going to do, put that around there. So, coming down now. Now, if the client had high density hair, what you'd find at this stage is that you'd have to horseshoe section it. But on this doll's head, it's not very high in density, so I can afford to take it all down from the centre part. As I say, on a client who's got higher density hair, you probably need to horseshoe section and then bring the middle down. Okay, so there's my guide. And as I said, I want it to dip a little bit. So longest piece of hair through there. Don't want to take it really any shorter than that. So I'm visualising a line, and I'm going to follow my guide, and then once we get to where the guide stops, then take it down forward. So let me show you that. Okay, come around to the side of my model, follow my guide forward. By pulling it back, I've already created a little bit of an A-line shape anyway, so we're just completing that A-line shape. So you can see that, tipping forward, and we'll continue that on the other side. Double checking where both the long pieces are. That's it. So what we're going to do, again, as I said, already got a bit of an A-line shape in there anyway, through pulling it back. And then pull it down. And bring that through now. And check the balance. Feels good. Through the further back. Good. So, promise your shape in place. There's a few layers already in there, which is great, which will build into the haircuts when it's dry. So, onto the layering now. So, as I said, my client that I'm thinking I'm going to be doing this on, a real model, has got a lot more hair through the back, so we're going to imagine that this is a higher density model in terms of the thickness of the hair. You know, on an average human, it's 80 to 150,000 hairs on the head, which is, you know, 80 being fine, 150 being a lot. These dolls' heads have about 10 to 20,000, so it gives you an idea. There's not really a lot of hair on the head. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go back to our higher diagonal forward section and take that one a bit higher. Now I use my comb to get the sections in. With my finger like that. You can use clips, you can use pintails. It's much quicker to use your comb because it's already in your hands, but you know, use anything you can, you know, keep them sections clean. Looks more professional. Make life a lot easier for you. Check the balance on that. Now just looking at that, I think it's slightly out there. Tiny bit, but it's out. Just check the balance in that section. It's good. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a panel down the back, panel there, and we're going to lift this out straight from the head, and I'm going to take a corner off. So probably best I'll show you like that. As I said, straight out from the head, and a corner. I can relax that a little bit now. I've got my tension. I'm going to point off that down. Let that go. We're then going to go on to the next section, same on the other side, but we're actually going to over direct it into the middle. And the reason we're doing that is I want, when we are styling it, I want it to be slightly more laid down the middle, a little bit longer through the front because the whole hair flows forward. So a little bit shorter on the layers through here, and then they gradually go forward. So it creates a nice tussled effect as it goes forward. So, show you my reel. Okay, panel's done. Next section. And we're going to pull that out along with the previous section. Top section is clean. And we're going to pull it in to the middle. Here's my guide. Texturize. Next section. Pull that section into the middle. There's our section. Tolerance. Guideline, sorry. And let that drop. Now, slightly shorter, slightly longer. I mean, you know, the sake of a centimetre in difference in length. But it will help towards creating that nice sort of shape of it all flowing forward. Okay, next section. Into the middle. Got that guide there. And cut it down. Go. And same with the final section there. Showed you a few different ways that I point cut. Right, I'm going to pull them up, make sure they're more or less the same length, which they are. Remember, it's been point cutted, so they're never going to be perfect. You don't want any of that texture. So quite heavily laid already through the bottom, and as I said, in a real world, real model, got more hair through the back, and that will create that texture. Lots more layers. I'm going to carry that on through to the top now. Okay, so next section, mirrored to this section, just a bit higher. There. Keep that section nice and clean. And to the side. Down. Okay, so next section, we're going to lift this actually out. So what we've got, this from that side, you'll see that better. We're actually going to lift this up now, 90 degrees from the head. Okay. And you get a good angle for you to see this at home. So there we go. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take a section down the middle, or a panel down the middle, and what we're going to do is we're going to lift that up. You should have a little bit of that previous section underneath, like so. There. And that's it, we're going to lift at 90. And we've still got the guide for that, and we're just going to point that off there. Let that drop. Okay. Same situation now. Pull that back down into the middle. We're going to lift and pull it all into the middle. Okay, so we can separate that section there. We'll come to that bit in a moment. Going to take that there and then pivot round whilst over directing it all back into the middle, 90 degrees from the head, and point cut. Next section, all back into the middle, obviously taking less and less off the more we bring it round. And we'll get that out of the way and bring this side into play now. Into the middle, lift it up. So got a guide from the previous section. And then finally, lift that up. Into the middle. Drop that down, and down, so that all flows into each other. Still got that shape. Make sure they're more or less the same length. There's a section through this side which is just a little bit long, so I think, there we go, yeah. I just never pulled it over far enough. Always shows the value of cross-checking a haircut. Or pulling out, and that gives it lots of layers through there, lots of texture. Okay, so onto the front section. Now, okay, done. What we're going to do now is invert it. So, what that means is we're going to do a section down the middle. We're going to lift that up and connect that into the front. But we want the front to be quite long, so we're going to take like ½ inch off that and connecting it in, which basically gives you that shape. And then everything will be pulled up into the middle, again, creating length through the front there. So what I'm going to do, first things first, is just put a profile section down the middle, which some people will call Mohican, centre part and centre section, sorry. I tend to call it a profile part. Lots of different terminology in the world. That's what I'm doing with it. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take that section there and just take that out the back, out the way. We're going to make sure that's nice and neat. I'm going to separate the front piece and the clip. Bear in mind there is a fringe, so it gets all puff out. Okay. And we're going to go straight up, and you can actually see that section there that wants to come up. So we're going to, again, hook up the layers on the inversion. And we're going to continue that into the next section by carrying a little panel forward with it for your guideline. So there's our little panel. Again, there's our front. Just chop into that line a little bit more so it's not as heavy. And then that's it, we've actually got that nice guide all the way through, so it comes down inverted and then comes round like so. Okay. So now to connect the sides into that. So we're going to come our fringe down. Go back into the centre pattern. And separate the back from ear to ear because that's all been layered already. You don't need to layer that anymore. We're going to take the front section. Now, if there was lots of hair, you'd take it in two sections, and we are just going to bring it all up into the middle, have our guideline, and drop it down. That also maintains the length through there as well. As I said, take it all up into the middle. Shoot that on an angle. Now, always checking when you lift for that guide, which is there. You know, this is basically not being cut, so you're maintaining your length through there. Just make sure it's all up. It's in the guide. Drop that down. Okay. So, give that a little bit of a shake. So, what we've got is short at the back, long at the front A-line shape. Profile pattern down the middle, diagonal forward sections, cutting straight, pulling it back so we keep a little bit more length through there, through the perimeter. Then coming up to the top. Now usually you'd horseshoe through to the sides, but because there's not a lot of hair on these doll's heads, we've gone straight to the centre and we've visualised looking at this length here, followed the guide to where it was and then dipped it away. Same on the other side. Then coming into the internal shape, diagonal forward section, high one, and we've pulled that straight out from the head and taken the corner off, which would have been creating a lot of bulk through there, and pivoted around the same sections following the guide but pulling it all into the middle, and we've done that the same through the top, just mirrored that and lifting it up 90 degrees, all again into the middle, through to the top, profile section, lifted it up, and we've inverted it from this layer forward, retaining length through the front, lots of layers through the back, and then lifted both sides up into the middle while maintaining this length through here, but give them nice inverted layers. So short to long through the front. So what I'm going to do now is dry it, then I'm going to put a link onto the next stage of what I've done. So I'm going to give it a little dry, then come back to you with the styling and finishing off with a bit of texturising and then styling. Okay, thank you.